David. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. We'll just turn the tunes down. Jackie's volume up. Friday afternoon, I thought bad habits was semi-appropriate because sometimes my bad habits appear on a Friday afternoon. I don't know about yours, but usually a glass of wine, maybe a bit more chocolate than normal. Good to have everyone here. Thank you so much for being here. I've got David supporting me in the Zoom room. Thanks, David. If anything goes wrong, technically, it's all his fault.
It's all my fault.
It's all his fault. And we've got some amazing members of the JSM team on screen. So just a shout out to Joe and Taryn and Kelly, who are here always supporting in the background. I love it. Thank you for being here. So yeah, just be great to connect and just check in. We have got some very special guests that you're going to hear from today. We've got Natalie Valentine, Ves Kostanov. Have I said that right, Ves? Kostanivov? Yes. And Nathan O'Brien from Kardinia Park Stadium. And they're going to share some really cool insights with us today. So we're going to hear a lot more from them, but a big heartfelt welcome to you three, and thank you so much for giving your precious time. I really, really appreciate it. And I'd love to acknowledge for the rest of the amazing humans that are on screen here. So g'day, Clem. Just unmute yourself if you can and tell us where you're coming in from today.
Hi. Setin asked me to be here today, and I'm the venue manager at Ocean 12 Bar in Crown.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, so being a premium,
an email, they didn't chase it up, but obviously they've only just realised it. It's come through to me today. I haven't.
We're just thanks, David. We just mute people randomly here. Sorry, Clem. Welcome. So that sounds like a great place. Thanks for being here, and
thank you.
And hopefully you've got the chat box open too, because we're quite interactive and love to get your input today. You must have a lot of experience working in a cool place like that. Seddon, welcome if you can hear me. Great to see you on screen. And Gerard, g'day Gerard, if you can hear us, unmute and say g'day. Here we go.
G'day, Jackie.
Great to have you on.
Hello, Jackie. It's Seddon Must. Nice to be here.
Great to have you here, Seddon. Just for everyone online, tell us, where are you coming in from today? From what establishment?
So I'm now working for myself for Must Management. So one of my customers is actually the private tenant in Crown, which is I asked Clem to join in today, but we deal with a number of different licensed venues. So yeah, it's good to, obviously I've done some I've worked with a few sites back in your day in food and beverage sites. So I've been following you, and I'll join in and see what you're up to and where we can get you involved.
Fantastic. Great to hear your voice. I won't get around all the room, but I just want to acknowledge everyone that's coming on. Good afternoon, welcome. We love humans. We love to see your faces. So if you are in a position to put your camera on, please do. We're amongst friends here. And if you're not in a position, it's all good. We understand. We're gonna have an opportunity for some questions for Q&A. There'll be an opportunity for you to also share a little bit about some of your pain points currently with customer service. So yeah, set yourself up so you can unmute and share, or at least do something in the chat box. That would be fab. I want to make this as valuable for you as possible. So welcome. My name's Jackie Scammell. For many of you who know, we thought it would be really cool to make today's information session around service habits a little more specific to stadia venues and events. However, all is welcome, and I think a lot of what you hear today is going to, translate across multiple sectors and industries. And today's webinar is all about relationships. That's what we do at Service Q. And I'd like, maybe for the next little while, at least till the hour, I'm going to invite you to just step away from the urgent just for this time and really lean into this conversation that is what I think really important, not just for our work, our businesses, but for humanity, for the world. I think customer service is an incredibly beautiful opportunity to connect with people. And we're going to share a little bit more about how we help that come through in businesses like yours today. I've been speaking on this topic for many years with good people like yourselves, and why this message is more important now than ever is because the world's changed. And those of us, those of our teams who are unable to deal with the human stuff, they'll be left behind. So this topic is more important than ever. To steal a phrase, there are decades where nothing happens, right? And then there's weeks where decades happen. And literally, I feel like we're witnessing that even now. You think about it in the last couple of years, what you've seen, the changes, the innovation, the pivot to online services and support, then the mass mobilization of working from home, and then homeschooling and social behaviors changing, people's awareness of health, people's awareness of politics, awareness of freedom, the financial impact that's happened for people's lives, the cities that have emptied and the regional areas that have expanded. And then overlay all of that with what's been happening in your industry, what changes you've dealt with, challenges that you've dealt with. Is anyone feeling a little bit exhausted? A little bit overwhelmed? I am. And so how has all this impacted your life and therefore your customer's life? You know, what would be their story? And so the reason today that we're focusing on customer service more than ever, and I've got to say, as a business, we've never been busier. There just seems to be a huge awakening of the importance of not only taking care of our customers, but taking care of our people. And the reason that this message is more important than ever is because simply when the fabric of society changes, well, two things happen. One, people's expectations change. And two, people's levels of tolerance shift. So I think this is a topic that's pretty critical. And I'm guessing that by you being here today for all of your various reasons, there's probably a few common threads. Maybe you're sitting back and thinking about the opportunity for your teams and your workplace culture. You're thinking about maybe how do I lift the engagement of my people? Perhaps employee wellbeing is center stage for you right now, and you're thinking about the whole human experience in the workplace. Perhaps you're thinking about, do we even do customer service properly? Like, do we actually know what we're doing, and do we need to rethink it? And maybe very consciously, the COVID environment's changed your thoughts around what are some of the unconscious and conscious behaviors that my people need to be aware of, my staff, my leaders, my frontline teams. And, you know, when customers are bringing their personal and political views in, or their anxieties and fears into the workplace, are my people equipped to deal with that? So perhaps, you know, it might be all of that, or just one or two things that are really resonating with you, which is why you're here today. And I think that regardless of why you're here and regardless of how much has changed, there is one thing that I truly believe, no matter what, service is really simple. And yet we humans sometimes make it really overcomplicated. And so thinking about some of your pain points and maybe the opportunity today, I'd really love to add value to some of your specific challenges or pain points as we go through today's webinar. And if you're sitting back and thinking, you know, here are some of the things that I'm thinking about and that are getting in the way of us delivering great service, I'd love to hear from a few of you. I'd love for you to throw your hand up and jump in, unmute. David's supporting us too, so he can help with those that are unmuting and muting. Or even if you want to just drop some comments in the chat box, I've got one eye on that. I've gotten really fit at doing that over the last couple of years. So yeah, what kind of pain points are you feeling in your business? And in a few words, who'd like to maybe just unmute and tell us, you know, why are you here today? What's the opportunity for you? And great to see your camera on, Seton. Good on you, even in the car. You're a legend.
That's how keen I was to join in today, Jackie.
Good on you. Would you want to just maybe in a few words tell us what are some of the pain points you're seeing out there?
So yeah, I just reconnected. I missed the last bit of what you actually just said. So what feedback are you wanting?
That's all right. Listen in the conversation and jump in. I know you've probably got a heap of value to add. We're just recapping what pain points are people seeing in their teams, in their workplace cultures that's affecting customer service, it's impacting customer service.
Look, probably the biggest one I'm seeing across a lot of places is probably, the relationships and the attentiveness and the consciousness of staff to be able to pick up even the smallest things that contribute to someone's experience in a venue. Like you said, like it's to keep it simple, make it, like eye contact when someone wants to get served, the way someone might be thinking or feeling, that you can just pick up on things and respond immediately. I'm probably seeing that across a lot of places.
I love all of what you've just said, Seton, and I might just paraphrase so we can hear from a few others. David, if you can help Seton out with any muting too, because he's on his phone. What I really love about what you said is that, it is very much about the unconscious and conscious behaviours, and it's the little things that maybe staff, have got within them that they're not seeing is super useful and powerful during times like now. And also, I want to just point out the comment you made about how they're managing themselves and responding in the moment rather than reacting. And I know that I would always want to be on the receiving end of not a knee-jerk reaction with customer service, but maybe someone who's responding more consciously and more aware of their response. So yeah, some great points there. KC, Karen Clydesdale, great to have you in the house. You're never short of words. I would love to hear from you, my friend. What is happening in your world at the moment? Where are you seeing some pain and some challenges with workforce and customer service?
I'm trying to unmute, but I don't use Zoom very often. Apologies. Yes, hi, Jackie and everybody. Obviously, yes, we've all had lots of pain throughout the last 18 months, but I think I'm just so proud, and I've got a couple of our team on the call, but I'm very proud of our customer service team who are responding to our clubs, our coaches, our volunteers on the front line, but now also the players and the participants that are planning to set foot in Australia with completely different experiences, as we know. So they're getting them set with all their visas and so forth. So I think our team have shown that resilience. And I can see Sean, he's absolutely exhausted, the hours that they have been working day and night and over the weekends to get the 3,300 people ready to come to Australia, which we've not done before. So we've propped up a team, got the people, the processes and places in place, and now ready for the 10,000 staff to provide that to our full 100% crowds in 3 states, South Australia, New South Wales and Victoria.
Well done. It's Australian Open time. You can smell it in the air in Melbourne, and 10,000 staff is no small achievement. That's going to be a big one. So congratulations, Karen. It sounds like some great work happening. And what I loved about what you shared, which I want to just pick up on, is this definition of who does customer service. Talking about coaches delivering great customer service and people that maybe traditionally wouldn't have felt that service is their job. And just that whole mindset that can often be a challenge for a lot of businesses. One of the things that there's 3 things that we're hearing typically at the moment as the biggest pain points for business leaders, both B2B and B2C. The first pain point we're hearing is that our staff can deal with the rules and compliance, but they're struggling to balance it with common sense and some care. And it is a balance. The second typical challenge we're hearing a lot of at the moment is there's certain members of the team who don't believe that customer service is their job. And I know what you were just talking about, Karen, really resonates with you. There's been a lot of work done over the years to change the mindsets of many people. And then the third challenge that we're hearing often is we're tolerating behaviours that we know are impacting the customer service inconsistently. And we need to stop tolerating them and move towards behaviours we want to see more of, encourage more of. So the opportunity, I think, for big businesses or organizations where it's got a lot of transient employees, a workforce that's relying on maybe a big casual workforce as well, which many are, is to empower the staff with not just the hard skills, but the relational skills, the soft skills, the skills of the heart. The opportunities to get everyone on the team, no matter what job that they do, to believe that customer service is their job, and not just believe it, but behave like that. And then the third opportunity is to reset, and I think this is key right now, reset the expectations in workplaces of what are the behaviours we want to see more of. And so they're the real major opportunities that we go hard on in our programs. And none of this happens with a silver bullet or a magic pill. It does take time, but I think that's the opportunity, and maybe one that everyone can relate to. I wanted to just spend a moment just expressing why I'm qualified to talk about this topic, and I'll literally spend 2 minutes on it. Customer service transformation is something that is quite specific, and often people say, did you go to college? Did you learn this as a degree? Did you study it? And the answer is no, no, no. This is from life experiences. This is from working with good people who I can see on the screen today and learning every day about what makes people tick and putting a formula to that. And so, you know, I was brainwashed through the McDonald's system back in the 80s and in the 90s. And I say brainwash with a smile on my face. They trained young teenagers the skill of discipline, but also how to read people, customers and staff. And then, you know, later in life, I spent many years in stadiums, major events, some of which I've worked with people in this room, and equally over in England at UK, Wembley, Emirates Stadium, and good old Aussie Open. But the reason I share this with you is because what I observed is that when you strip away all the complexities and all of the rules and all the protocols that come with these big workforces, there's some fundamentals that need to be in place to actually create a service transformation. And those fundamentals are a methodology. It's not just about training. It's not just about having a great set of values. To operationalize this and make this stuff come to life with literally hundreds of staff, and in Karen's case, thousands, you've actually got to follow a methodology. And so we're going to hear from Natalie and Nathan and Vess today, who are going to talk a little bit about the impact of that methodology. And now, you know, it's not just limited to stadium. As you can see, this is a handful of some of our favorite customers and clients around Australia and New Zealand, and they all want the same things. It doesn't matter what industry, and they all want connection with their employees and customers, and they want their customer service to improve. So before I bring on some awesome conversation with our 3 guest speakers from Kardinia Park, I actually wanted to just share 3 common mistakes that I see in service transformation programs. And this is from lived experience and from teaching this for the last 10 years. So there's 3 common mistakes, which I'm going to put into a different format and call them the 3 non-negotiables. So the first non-negotiable, and again, I've never seen this fail, is that you must start with the leaders. So if you are sitting back thinking, Jackie, we really need help with customer service. We've only got X amount of budget. We've only got X amount of time. It needs to look like this, not like that. I will still look you in the eye and say, where is the CEO? Where is the general manager? We need to start there. I've never seen a frontline team go on a customer service journey work where the leadership team are not going on that same journey. That's number 1, non-negotiable. And in fact, we have a rule in our business that if that's not the case with these service transformation programs, we're probably not for you. That's how much we believe that. The second non-negotiable is don't put all your effort into training. Now, training is expensive and it takes time. And it's important, But if you only put your effort into training and you don't support the training with other bits, other touch points, other punctuations, then it's not going to stick. So our second non-negotiable is it's not just about training. There's more to it. And the third non-negotiable for any of you online today who really want to take your service culture to another level is you've got to make it all about your staff. The message, even the name of the program, why we're doing it. I know Vess is nodding because she really experienced this firsthand. Has probably got some stuff to say about this. It's all about taking care of your people. It's all about making them feel that they're being invested in, they're being developed, they're growing. It's personal and professional development. And guess what? Stand back and watch the service improve. It's one of those universal laws. It just happens. So the way we convey the message is really important. Because let's face it, who wants to rock up to another customer service training program? Like, really? I think we can be better than that with how we dress it up and how we talk about it. And so there are three key non-negotiables, and the value of these programs, well, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. You typically hold on to your talent, and there's less costs in trying to attract more talent to your teams. There's less customer turnover and more loyalty with your customers. New business, new customers, we all want that. And of course, you're being a competitive leader in your space. You're pioneering. This is what good looks like in the future. And so all these things I think are probably important to you and important to your businesses in terms of the overall success. So enough about me. I want you to hear from some people that have lived this journey and have had some real life experiences with it. And the service habits journey at Kardinia Park, we started talking about it and really thinking about things about 18 months ago. Can't believe it, actually. It's been that long. And we worked alongside the leadership team and the full-time team. And it was all about beginning to really bring the service culture transformation to life, which is part of their 3-year strategy. And Kardinia Park have a vision to be Australia's best regional stadium. And one of the key strategic initiatives for them to get their fans to really feel the uniqueness of this stadium was to bring service perspective to life and to make it quite unique for the Kardinia Park Trust Stadium team. So we started with the full-time team and the leaders. And it's great to have Jared online today, who's you know, the CEO of that stadium. And again, it's just proof in the pudding from the very top. You know, Jared has been in all the masterclass sessions, shown all the vulnerability, shown all the authenticity, and what that does to the rest of the room is just, it's super powerful. So yeah, really, really awesome. So I'm going to introduce you. We've got Natalie Valentine, who's Chief Operations and Commercial Officer. And we've got Nathan O'Brien, Head of Special Events and Experiences. And we've got Vess Kostaninov, Head of Human Resources or Human Resources Manager with us. So I'm going to come over to you first, Nat. Thank you for being here. I know you're one busy lady, juggling many, many priorities. Could you just tell us a little bit about who your customer is at Kardinia Park and just some of your unique pain points that you guys have been dealing with over the last 18 months or so? And we'll just help Nat with unmuting. There we go.
Thanks, Jax, and thank you for having us today. We really appreciate it. So Kardinia Park Stadium Trust is responsible for the operations and management of GMHBA Stadium, and we welcome various events, obviously, to the venue on an annual basis, albeit we've experienced COVID, obviously, around the world. So when we start to look at our events and our customers that come through, we can typically, like any organisation, separate our customer into various segments from a business or a consumer point of view, with micro segments underneath that. And for the purpose of today, we'll focus on the consumer being the fan that attends the venue. And like many venues, we have a blended fan base requiring different needs. Typically, the fans that come to GMHBA Stadium know the venue, they're AFL fans and they support it. So they understand the path of travel. They understand where they sit, how to access food and beverage amenities, and also bathroom amenities. But then we've got the fan that isn't quite used to the venue, and it's all new and it's all unknown to them. So as they experience the venue, they typically would like to know, where do they park, what gate do they enter, and how far away from the gate is it? How long will it take to reach the bag checkouts and scanning points, and how long does it take to actually move through a scanning point? How do they find their seat? Where can they buy a drink, and how close is the bathroom to their seat? Now, this is all pretty standard and common type of queries across venues at large. But one of the other points is, who will be able to help them? And I think that that's the most important point, is identifying who can actually help a customer or a fan as they're when they're at the venue. And that isn't, it doesn't depend whether they're an AFL fan or they're a first-time fan. It's really important that we've got that continuity in messaging. But a more recent example that I think many venues are experiencing now is customers wanting to know, do I need to be double vaccinated to attend a venue? And what can I expect if I don't have a mobile phone? What's my experience going to be like? How do I actually enter the venue, and what do I need to do? And am I required to wear a mask? We find that inconsistency in the communication can be the greatest pain point for each of the customer and the employee. And this can lead to confusion, disappointment, poor experience, and reputational damage. So although our customer segments and micro segments can be different, we're finding that their pain points are actually very similar. And although that developing an open and welcoming, and through developing an open and welcoming connection with our customer and displaying care at all times, we can provide continuity in the service, and we can reduce the friction that presents to any of our customers that come through. Now, we also find that our contractors may also have similar pain points to what our customers do, albeit they're entering the venue in a different means. They're entering through a media entry, but still their pain points are very similar. So it comes down to displaying care at all times and making sure our communication is open and transparent and also engaging.
I love that, Nat. And just that whole point about, doesn't matter who the employee is or what uniform they're in. When a customer needs help, they typically look for a human in a uniform, and they just want to know, where's the closest toilet, where do I go to get a drink? And that venue knowledge and having confidence within the employees is key. So with the service habits journey that we've been on over the last year at least, what impact are you starting to see in the culture, specifically the business as a whole, Nat?
Jax, it's really interesting, because when we started our conversation, little did I probably appreciate at the time 18 months ago that where we would end up even halfway through our journey now is where we would actually be. So we first identified the opportunity to improve customer service within our organisation and across the venue. And we developed the 3-year plan approach, with it first and foremost focusing inwardly to our organisation and then projecting outwardly to our customers. And we did this to aid our people in further understanding the value of customer service and providing continuity in service across our various touch points. So that means that if we're serving ourselves or each other within the organisation, we actually know what to expect, and therefore we can start to project that into an outward part, whether that be business partners. So we designed a set of service standards that aligned with our organisational values and coached our workforce on how to bring these standards into their daily areas of responsibility. So our service became natural to what we do and how we do it at KPST. As a result of this approach, I actually believe we've experienced firsthand greater empathy and understanding for what service actually means to ourselves as individuals, and both personally and professionally, to our colleagues, whether we're sitting remotely or whether we're sitting next to them in the office, to our stakeholders and our business partners. That's absolutely incredibly important, because what we experience at the venue, they also experience, and of course to our customers and the fans that walk through the door. And we place great value in the service that we provide to our customers, and we know that how we show up to the venue directly impacts the experience of our contractors or our business partners or our customers. So it's very, very important to us at KPST. As we lead into the summer events period, we've actually commenced a customer service training journey with our casual workforce to further aid their role on the event day and provide continuous development and coaching opportunities, which we also, Jax, you mentioned earlier, it doesn't just stop with training. It's a component, and it's important that we have that continuity in the training approach. Now, our people have been really engaging and welcoming to the training and the support provided, and our business partners are actually seeing the value in the approach that we're deploying, with one of our lead tenants reaching out and now exploring customer service training. And certainly our security provider has expressed a really strong interest in adopting our service habits and behaviours and the way we go about our business. Over the past month, as we've started to see the return of COVID, it has been insightful to see the organic mirroring of positive and proactive customer service across our venue. So seeing how our workforce actually presents at a gate, and then seeing that being mirrored by our contracted security workforce or our contracted event workforce is really important. So we start to get that blend across the way our teams present, and they present in a united fashion. And although we're only halfway through our 3-year approach, Jax, of designing, coaching and living our new way of service at the venue, we're really pleased with what we've been able to achieve to date, and we're really excited by what the future presents for the Trust. I certainly feel that we're only at the very touching point. We've got a lot to go, and it's certainly an enjoyable journey so far.
Yeah, it's been wonderful watching the full-time team really lean into this conversation and then practice the behaviours and see people's language change, which, you know, when language changes, behaviours typically follow. And that you've held a vision pretty firm in your mind about what you want, and you're absolutely on the way for that becoming reality. So congratulations. I want to come to you, Nathan. Nathan, Head of Special Events and Experiences. Nathan and I've worked together in a previous life at Tennis Australia. So it was great to see Nathan pop up at Kardinia Park Stadium Trust, and I know he's bringing great stuff to the team already. But Nathan, in particular, I wanted to ask you, someone who's been in operations, and I've seen you firsthand, you know, roll your sleeves up and get amongst it, with the dynamic, ever-changing environment at the moment, with major events, stadiums, hospitality, places where people are gathering. What's the sort of biggest challenge that you're seeing at the moment that needs to be met for the customer?
Yeah, thanks, Jax. Before I do start, I do need to acknowledge a couple of people, because the two main people I've learned this space from are on the call. It's yourself, Jax, and also Karen Clydesdale. So the pressure is on here to get this here right. So, but I can go on and on in terms of the challenges that we're actually facing. And I think the biggest one is first of all, just understanding who your actual customers are, and it's not applying the one size fits all approach, because there's no two venues in the world are the same. There's no two events in the world that are the same, and there's no two customers in the world are the same. So you do need to treat it like that. That obviously every situation is very unique and very different. So the challenge is, I guess, understanding as who you're dealing with, and then the needs and requirements, and then how does that specifically then apply to your particular venue or event, whatever it may be. So that's probably the challenge, is just understanding your unique space there, and then obviously tailoring a program to be able to accommodate that, to be able to sort of suit the needs of your customers that are coming in. So from an operational point of view, obviously where my background does come from, and where Karen and I got to know each other very well because we're on either sides of this conversation, is how do you get that balance right? So from a customer service point of view, you've got your program that you want to implement. Then on the other side, you've got your operational deliverables. And how do you get that balance without compromising on either side? So as a prime example, where Karen and I did a lot of work together, was on the entry process, for example. So how can you make that as friendly, inviting, welcoming, as efficient as you possibly can for the guest, without compromising what you're actually trying to achieve in terms of an operational space. So I mean, that's just one example, but just to try to get that balance with both of them, but then not only get that balance, but then exceed in both those areas as well. So that's where it's really challenging. But one of the probably most important challenges right now we're all facing, which is very topical across the society, is being adaptable, and obviously moving into this whole new COVID safe, COVID normal world. You know, what does that look like? And it's all, you know, the customer service aspect in events and venues now is as critical as it's ever been, helping people sort of transition into that phase. And where it's been really challenging for us, and to use a prime example from this year during the AFL season, you know, everybody very familiar with how evolving and constantly changing the AFL fixture was this year, and being able to adapt with that. we had a Geelong home game on a Friday evening where 90% of our customers would be most likely returning customers who've been there many times before. So they know what they're doing, they know which entry they're going, they know the process, we don't need to educate them that well. But then 2 days later, we have a neutral game, which is 2 interstate teams, where 90% of the customers will be first-time visitors. So all of a sudden, same venue, same event, 48 hours apart, we had to completely flip our customer service approach. So just being able to be adaptive is probably, it's as critical now as it's ever been. And that's the challenge, is understanding how it actually does apply to your particular event and venue.
And I think that really brings home, Nathan, the importance of keeping stuff really simple. So, where I see businesses typically overcomplicate customer service is they come up with all these fancy acronyms and 6 steps of service and all this, and it's all great and wonderful. But when the heat's on, and to your point, when an environment's being ever changing and agile, and we're mixing stuff up, you just want your team to just remember 2, 3 things tops, like just that, and it needs to be transferable, right, in all of those different environments. So I really love that balance of efficiency and the emotional needs being met, and you nailed it. So what do you think, just quickly, Nathan, your views on what do you think is critical in making training specifically a success for customer service staff? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it's as critical as it can ever be. And at KPST, we like to use analogies, and to use one here and relating to the sport field is, you can have the best game plan in the world, but unless you actually train for it, have your team train for it, well, it's not going to get you too far. And it's exactly the same as this approach here. You can have the best customer service program in place for your particular space, but unless you have the right training to roll out for your team, well, it's not going to get you too far at all. So I think the key thing to answer your question, Jax, is making it relevant to your particular space. And one of the really big benefits we've seen through working with your program with our event staff is it's all relevant, and it's how it's directly applied to their particular role. So because if you rolled out the same program at the MCG to their customer service team, is going to be completely different. If you roll out the same program to, again, Ed Marble Stadium, it's going to be completely different. So although it's the same core product, it's a completely different approach. So making it relevant to the particular space, we've seen that to be critical, because the last thing you want is the actual staff on the ground having to think on the spot, okay, how does that principle I learned recently apply to what I'm doing right now? What you want to do is obviously train them beforehand, give them the tools to make it all relevant, so they've actually gone through that process prior. So then by the time they actually do get faced with that on the ground, well, then they've been through it before, because it's relevant and they actually understand it. So I think that's the key thing is actually making it relevant to the staff and to their actual workplace.
And just to paraphrase with that, making it relevant, one of the reasons why we facilitate the training in more facilitator mode, our live sessions are much more about asking questions and getting the people in the room talking and having conversations rather than just shoving content down their throat. That helps with the relevance, because they're bringing it to life, and the genius in the room from all of the people that have done this for many years are sharing their knowledge and wisdom, and we as trainers are simply facilitating that discussion anchored around one idea, around one concept, around one service habit. So it's intentional, it's designed, it's done in a way so that the learning sticks. So great. Thank you, Nathan. I want to come to your colleague, Vess. Vess, thank you for being with us today. You are certainly someone that loves looking after the people, and we've had a great journey together so far. And what I'd love to just ask you is, what's the impact that you've seen on some of the individuals personally, professionally? We've heard a bit from Nathan and Nat more about the whole business and the collective, but I'd love for you to just maybe share an insight around, what are you noticing for the individuals that are going on this program?
Thank you, Jackie, and hi, everyone. Well, I guess it's very important just to set the scene a little bit back as to when we started the program. We were in that pandemic that we already identified, and our people were working from home. We had moved people and they were in that kind of social isolation. They were dealing with their own anxieties about the pandemic and things like that. So when we started the trainings, like some would have thought that that's a crazy idea, but for us, it actually worked out to be a really good investment in such volatile times for our people. Just because your training, Jaxi, provided an opportunity for us to really get together while we were in our homes during the social isolation and be ourselves, voice our opinions, participate in your training on what is it, this customer service concept. And things like that. So that was one of the great benefits I really wanted to identify for your group as well. And I feel like there were 3 particular kind of benefits and skills that we gained at the personal level, like for each of us as a staff member. And that was something what you've said before, take care of your people and invest in your people. So it was the personal and professional development that we really benefited from. And more specifically, your customer service training didn't focus straight away on our interactions with the customers, but what it did, you actually spent a bit of time, and that was so beneficial for our self-growth and development, on understanding selves, understanding when we are in our best, and how we can get to our best form to be able to go out there and serve our customers. So we've learned about the mindfulness, the meditation, all these strategies that you taught us. And yes, they were beneficial for the customer service in general, but it also had this personal impact on all of us. And people were saying it was just an amazing personal growth. The second big benefit for us was building that empathy and understanding others around us. And as you mentioned, it's not necessarily going straight to the customer first, but as Nat mentioned as well, it's understanding ourselves as a team. Where were the pain points for us as a team? Where we needed to improve as a team so we can actually become this united group and serve our customer to our best ability. And we've invested in that internal relationship that you spoke about, Jax, that it's very important. So apart from the self-growth, it was just the growth within the team, the growth within the organization that we have achieved. And then it's the cherry on the cake, which is, as you mentioned, when we meet with the customers, when we are interacting, what are the specific skills that we gained? And that's when the power of language, the asking better questions and listening to understand, and all these tips that you tell us when we actually meet face-to-face with the customer. And if I can give an example of perhaps we've been talking recently about empathy because it's so important for us, particularly in this post-COVID, conditions. And a colleague of mine, actually, just to give you an example, she was on the phone handling inquiries from our customers before a game, and a customer called her and they inquired about the car park availability. And they disclosed to my colleague that they suffered from anxiety, and every time they'll come to the stadium, if there is no car park, they will be really anxious and they were really upset on the phone and things like that. And my colleague said to me, I remembered at that time the session that we had with Jax, and we spoke about the empathy and we spoke about the things like, what's it like to be you? So she said to me, I kind of related to that, and I just gave information about nearby car park around the stadium. And these are just very typical examples that are happening every day when we're dealing with customers. Things like recognizing, I know our frontline people, they always say, oh, we've got regular customers, and they wait for us to be recognized, to be spoken to be taken to the SC. They love these small conversations. So the changes, we are seeing the changes happening within our people in the conversation, in the day-to-day actions when we serve our customers. So it has been an amazing journey, Jax, and we've been very privileged to have had that training. But particular skills that we've gained was around this empathy and recognizing opportunity to serve, being eager and quick to serve, and just act with conviction. And when we are with the customer, have just a couple of tips, 4, 5, 6 tips that really help with providing this best customer service.
Oh, Vess, yeah, we've got so many stories like what you've just shared. Thank you so much for bringing some of that to life and sharing some really tangible outputs. And just to recap what Vess was saying, I'll just share on my screen here. There is, these are sort of the 3 parts of what the participant or the learner goes through. So the first 7 habits are all about self-awareness. We don't even really talk about the customer until the 8th masterclass. Then we get into the nitty gritty, which you've heard empathy a few times now, which is how do we then help people really understand others? And these are the 7 habits that Vess was referring to that go deep on empathy and asking really good questions, which are so critical in an environment like the ones that I can see on screen, where we're in fight or flight mode a lot and we're dealing with a lot of customers. And then the 3rd pillar, the last 7 habits, are all around how people self-regulate, how they act consciously. And we do this in an intentional order because, of course, to make any change to your language or behavior, first you need to be aware. So we start with awareness, move through empathy, and come through the end to contribution. And the whole journey really brings in the room a sense of presence. We start every session with a mindfulness moment. We anchor the group, we center them, we get them to really drop in to the collective energy of the room. There is an enormous amount of connection that happens in the room, which I think is a huge byproduct of this, where people feel more connected to colleagues they might not normally work with, and there's a deeper understanding of their challenges. And then, of course, the respect that comes across the silos and the different departments really amplifies, and people respect, oh, okay, so your job's really important for me, and that's how you make me get my job done better. And it all becomes quite a natural ripple effect. So was there any questions for the panel before I share the 6-step methodology and open it up to some broader questions around the transformation journey? I'd love to just open up to the Zoom room and just ask, is there any specific questions for the panel? And if you've got a few in mind and you want to pop it in the chat box, please feel free to. Sometimes it's always just good to process what you're hearing as well. And yeah, I'll make sure I've got my chat box here. Good. The methodology that we've been referring to, and please feel free if you have a question, just pop your hand up or jump in. But I would love to just in the few minutes that we've got left in these last 10 minutes, really share with you our special formula, if you like. And it is a special formula. It's taken years to get to this point and design it, and it's proven that it works. And so when I bang on about training in isolation doesn't create change, this is the answer. So if you can see on the slide here, we have got 6 steps that really is the methodology of transforming a culture. And again, it's done in a sequence. The first is, and I mentioned right at the beginning, is you've got to start with leaders and get really clear on with them why we're doing this and what we're trying to achieve. It's not just the sponsor of the program or the customer service training manager in the business, or one person's idea. They've all got to believe that this is actually going to help them get their jobs done better. And part of that first step, engage, is also choosing a bunch of champions. And we call these the customer advocacy group. And so these champions are people that are the custodian of the program, and they meet with us quarterly, and we mentor them to help them get cut through and implement the program outside of the training room. So it's really important that there's not just one person that's driving this, but there's a group of people across multiple parts of the business that are driving this. The second step is then getting really clear on what's your benchmark today. What are you actually measuring? Where do you want to go? So where were you? Where do you want to go? And how are we going to progress, track our progress? How are we going to know when we're winning? And that's so important for people's motivation. These transformation programs typically take 6 to 12 months, and you want to be able to see the dial shift. You want to see progress being tracked so that we feel that we're winning and motivation is there. The third step is then enroll. And let me tell you, this is so important. To invite people to a training program takes a lot of thinking. It's not just an invitation to go, hey guys, come and join us. Like, it's a campaign. It's all about them. It's about inviting them. What's in it for them? How are they going to learn? How's it going to make their life easier? And so we take the enrollment really seriously. And we've learned over the years to make sure everyone feels super comfortable before they start training. So, for example, this experience we're all having now online, we don't just get people to put their cameras on and rock up to an online training room. We actually give them an hour onboarding. We help them make sure that they look good on screen. We help them make sure that they actually feel ready to learn and they're confident in the room. Because right now we're all creating impressions of each other. And yeah, it's really important that we enroll people. The fourth is then the learn. And we do this online predominantly, a little bit in the room. But with the way the world is at the moment, our preference is online because it means we can just keep getting shit done. And so with learning online, we have a LMS platform, a learning management system, and we do all of our live masterclasses online. 45 minutes they are. We don't do 60 minutes. We like to give people an opportunity to go have a cup of tea, and we don't encourage back-to-backs. So 45 minutes is a way of ensuring that. And the learning is all about self-paced and a little bit of time pressure. So we like to have sessions fortnightly. So we're keeping a nice healthy tension on people's learning and application of what they're doing back out there in the field with customers. The fifth step is then apply. And I only employ the best world-class facilitators. They deliver much better than I can ever do. They bring this curriculum to life in a way that is from the heart. They show the people in the room things that the people in the room can't see in themselves. And the facilitators are incredibly important to this. We're not a training business that just brings in training managers. I actively manifest these humans into my world, and they're incredible humans. And the apply part is all about making sure there's heaps of recognition on the journey, lots of peer praise. It's an incredibly important part of it, and lots of progress being visible. And there's different ways we do that with trackers, journals, all sorts of things. And then the last part is review. How did we go? Where are we at? Checking the progress. We recently did that with Kardinia Park, and we talked about what do we need now? And again, to use Nathan's word, let's make it relevant. So that's our journey in a nutshell. And like anything, we're always really happy to share with you in a deeper dive discovery session what that looks like, the different pathways, the different budgets that we accommodate. I'd love to just open up now. We've got definitely 5-6 minutes left, and I've got one thing I would love for everyone to do, which is answer a quick little poll that we're going to put up in a moment. But before I do, has anyone got any questions on what you've heard so far from the panel, from some of the slides that I've shared? Would anyone like to ask a question? Or perhaps even a reflection or a comment about what you've heard today. It might not be a question.
I guess from my perspective, Jackie, to hear from Nathan, to hear from Natalie, and to hear from Vez, which was great to hear from the three of you. One thing I took away that I think really resonated with me, was so powerful, was when Vez was speaking about the power of empathy. Where we are now in society, that connection to people, like Nathan and Natalie were both saying, you know, no one customer is the same. No one situation is the same. To put ourselves in our customers' shoes is so integral to make sure our customers get the best experience and the best service, really. So that was a reflection, I guess, from me. And I think it was a great panel, and yeah, the power of empathy really shone through. Yeah, didn't it just? And don't we need it more than ever, Jo? Yeah, thank you. Absolutely. I love that observation. Thank you. Who else has a comment or reflection on what they're hearing today? Anything that's really resonating for you? Jared, I see your hand go up there.
Jack, sometimes we can all get too close, that we miss the obvious. Mm-hmm. One of the things we've got to keep trying to do is get the voice from the outside. because we can all get a bit too close that we miss things that, to some extent, are the obvious.
Yeah.
So the ability to have the voice who's coming at us a little bit one out, one back, that just notices something that those in the heat of battle may miss is really valuable in this topic.
Yeah.
And humans are designed for habitual thinking. It's a really bad habit. We've done it one way. I think it works all the time. So we just roll on and roll on and roll on, and we stop challenging the status quo. And challenging the status quo is such an important thing in customer service to each other as employees, and then out to the people we're trying to serve who come through the doors or the gates.
So true, Jared. And we actually promise people in the room that we're going to provoke them, we're going to challenge them, we're going to push a few buttons, and it pretty much starts from the first masterclass, because yeah, we've got to kind of leave some old thinking and old beliefs that might be getting in the way at the door and think differently. And there was a lot of that in Kardinia Park, Jared and team on screen. There was a lot of authenticity and vulnerability shown, and that's what actually created the shift. So thank you, Jared. I love that comment. Was there one more person that had a question, perhaps? Casey.
Jack, lovely to hear you, and thanks for facilitating. It's missed working with you. And of course, we had someone at the C-suite who was our advocate. So I certainly know how important that is. I think what resonated today, it's about the people. It's the people that are serving our people. And certainly we know that the employee experience enhances the whole customer experience, and it's that whole end-to-end experience, whether it's physical or digital. But yeah, lovely to hear from you all, and challenging times for us all, but it's the people that we can trust, and we know that they'll do it. And we've got our functional area manager training next week, so this has been very timely for us. So we'll embed all that into our teams.
Yeah, and Karen, it's so true. It's, you know, when you take care of the people, they will take care of your customers. And you know, the employee experience is almost old news now. It's about the human experience. It's about showing the humans that come to work that I see you, I hear you, I know that there's stuff going on outside of here, and I know that you're showing up as a professional, and we're going to make this a safe space, and we're going to look after you. And so I'm not surprised well-being is on the center stage right now for businesses. I'm not surprised that things like these conversations are so critical. Thanks, Karen. Just beautiful to see you on screen. And I want to just recap that there are three key decisions. If you're going on a journey, no matter how big or small it is, transforming service culture is not a silver bullet. It doesn't happen overnight. You need CEOs and frontline staff all on the journey together. And don't worry if you think, oh, will the staff speak up if the CEO's in the room? Yes, they will. We will make sure they do. The second decision is training. Yeah, decide to do training, but make sure you've got a methodology. And if you need some help with that, you give myself a call, Kelly Hamilton a call. We can work that through with you. We've got lots of different options, but throwing training as the only solution, it won't change behavior, and you've got to back that up. And the third decision is it's all about them, which is what Karen was just saying. It's actually all about the staff. And you just got to trust that the byproduct is your customer service will absolutely rock. Thank you all for coming along and giving us your precious time. It's been wonderful to see some familiar faces on screen. We have a new book out this month, so keep an eye out for it, and connect with us. Let's stay connected. This is the time more than ever to be connected, and like-minded individuals. We can all help each other. And from my team and to all of you on screen, I'd like to say thank you to Natalie and to Nathan and to Vess. Big love and heartfelt gratitude. Thank you for giving your time, your insights, and preparing for those questions. And to everyone else that came here today, I hope you found some value out of how to do a service transformation, and you know where to come if you need some help. Look after yourselves. Take care, everyone. Thank you.